To better serve the needs of residents in the Rockford region, Rosecrance will expand substance use disorder services for all adults in residential treatment. 23 News reporter Anthony Ferretti talks with the organization's regional president about what patients can expect.
Rosecrance currently serves around 90 people between the two Rockford facilities, and now this expansion allows them to serve at least 40 more people. Talks about expansion services developed in the last year when about 100 people were on the wait list to get treatment. The CDC also reports that drug overdose deaths increased 5 times as much over the last 2 decades. Rosecrance's regional president feels additional services will put their adult patients on the best road to recovery.
There isn't a week that goes by that we don't hear how treatment has forever changed their family system, whether that means rebuilding relationships with their children that they haven't had contact with, if that means them gaining full-time employment. One of the best parts about Rosecrance is really our continuum of care.
To support the expansion, Rosecrance will also be hosting a virtual hiring fair on Thursday, September 21st. They hope it will bring on dozens of human specialists and several more therapists.
Rockford is one of more than 60 locations in Illinois, Wisconsin, and Iowa that helps the organization serve more than 50,000 people.